I don't know why that makes me so happy, but it really, really does. What's going on, Marcus? How you doing?
Oh, doing good, man. What is this, Thursday? I don't know what day it is. It's Thursday. The Dodgers got a win last night. Decoy threw out the first pitch. What's not to be happy about this morning?
The W against the Orioles, it just feels right, and Shohei going absolutely crazy. But before we get started, can you let us know about our favorite friends at LAX?
Absolutely. The Blue Review, easy for me to say, as always, is presented by LAX at Los Angeles International Airport. Changes are arriving daily to reduce traffic, save guest time, and transform the travel experience. Of course, there's more info at flylax.com/transforminglax.
So the place to start, I think the only way to start is with Walker Buehler. And it's going to be shocking. I'm sure you're aware. It's going to be shocking. He was good.
He was.
He had some really, really bad luck in the second inning when he should have been out of it.
Mm-hmm.
Errors that caused him to not be able to get a 1-2-3 inning. And he gives up 3 runs, and that one of them was earned. But besides that, he was good. If he got out of that inning the way that he was supposed to, that pitch count would have been lower. He probably would have gone a little bit further, and he would have probably had a chance and gotten the win. I was to the point where I was impressed enough that I would give him another start.
Are you sure? I'm with you on that because I think he did enough to earn himself another opportunity. You're right. The second inning was not great, but it was not necessarily his fault. And I was sad for him that he couldn't quite get through 5, right? He almost got there. He ends up giving up the RBI double, at which point you did have to go make the move and go bring somebody else in. But I felt like he had done enough. He had pitched well enough to earn the win last night. But, there were a lot of really good signs. The breaking ball was working. He was getting swings and misses. And like he had one of those starts, one of the starts earlier in the season was sort of like that when he sort of talked afterwards about how he's trying to relearn how to pitch instead of just going out there and being a flamethrower. And I think we saw some of that last night. And it was great to see against such a potent lineup. And, all things considered, look, the Dodgers only gave up 3. Flaherty gave up 3 on Monday night. Buehler battles through and, the Orioles scored 4, 3 of them unearned, 2 of them unearned. The Dodger pitching staff has done a very good job of holding this lineup down, I think, for the most part through the first 2 games.
Yeah, they really have. And it's so, how he pitched, he did have swing and miss stuff. He was hitting the strike zone. That curveball just has looked better and better each time out. I'm not ready to say that, okay, he's on your postseason roster now. If Yamamoto comes back earlier, then I would still not give him that extra start. But for the most part, after how he pitched and against this lineup, I think he deserves another start. If this would have been a bad start, we would have been on here screaming, "This is it. That's it. That's enough."
He's got to go. Right?
Absolutely not. I still don't think he's on the postseason roster right now. He really has to show that he can have more of these outings and be able to get through it. Because the other thing that happened in that second inning, not only did he not get out of it, it kind of messed with his head. I mean, everything that we've been hearing about for him is a lot of it is mental. And when what happened in that second inning, he started getting hit. And that's why that third run was earned, was because then there was a single up the middle, and then he got smacked and hit that double. And then you could see that the wheels were starting to fall off. He got out of it. So it was nice to see that. But those are the types of situations that in a playoff series, if you do happen to be there, if you get a couple of hits against you, you got to be able to pick yourself back up and be the old Walker Buehler that goes, I'm not letting a run through even with bases loaded and nobody out.
Yeah. That's the thing I know they've said on some of the broadcasts too, that, it feels like, and again, this is probably a mental thing, but it feels like he has lost kind of that fearlessness a little bit of that anger and that aggression, that when things kind of start to get a little wobbly, that he knew he could go out there and he could get strikeouts. And maybe it's because the velocity isn't the same or the movement isn't the same, that, he's trying to figure out ways to get outs and trying to figure out what that new out pitch is. But sometimes that maybe he gives a little too much deference to the hitters. And sometimes that comes back to bite him. But I thought at times he looked like the old Walker Buehler, even if he was doing it in a slightly different way. So, I mean, that's encouraging. I think you pair that too with what we've seen out of Bobby Miller most recently. And, these are two guys that, again, they are still pitching to try and work their way onto the postseason roster. But if nothing else, it gives you hope that down the stretch in September, I mean, here we are about to hit the final month of the season, that these guys can be productive members and at least get them some quality starts through the last 4 weeks or so.
Yeah, if you can give me 6 guys that are all fighting for 3 to 4 playoff spots, that's a great thing, right? If everybody is healthy and fighting for that playoff spot, that means you're going to be good in September and fighting going into the playoffs. So either way, I was encouraged by the start. It was one that I felt like he changed it. They were talking also on the broadcast. He was using 2 pitches. He was using the 4-seam and the curve for the entire game, and then he would use that cutter for the out pitch, and it seemed to have been working. Now, obviously, if you keep doing that over and over again, people are going to start to catch up to it, start to learn it. But it was nice to see that he found somewhat of an out pitch in the cutter. If that's can be something where that he can mix and match those pitches a little bit better, because the curve looked really, really good the entire game and in his last start too. So there's a lot of things positive about this. It's still not at the point where that it needs to be, but he does get another start of it. Moving forward, though, there was another one, Yoshinobu Yamamoto. I almost had it. Yoshinobu Yamamoto had his rehab start yesterday, and I believe he went 2 or 3 innings. I think it might have been 2 innings. He gave 1 run. It was a home run, but apparently he looked good. He feels good afterwards. This is a positive thing for him and him coming back. There's probably be another rehab start, I would assume. I know that Travis was talking about if he pitches well, why even let him go more rehab starts? With the way that Bobby Miller pitched last time, depending on how he pitches tonight, the way that Buehler pitched last night, the way that Kershaw and everybody else has been pitching, you'd probably afford to let Yamamoto have another rehab start.
Yeah, I think that's the case. I mean, I think ideally they wanted him to get at least 2. I mean, if they had the time, I think they would probably go for 3. But obviously, the situation, the pennant race, the division race doesn't really warrant that. I always say in these situations, right, how the guy feels the next day is just as important as what he did the night before. The fact, though, that he went through those 2 innings. Says he felt good. The team felt good about it. That's certainly encouraging. So we'll see maybe one more turn, and then we could be talking about Yamamoto back, as soon as a week and a half, maybe potentially back, and maybe even sooner than that. So that is good news, right? I mean, Flaherty being there, Stone continuing to pitch well, getting positive signs out of Miller and Buehler. Kershaw still, for the most part, giving you quality. I know the last one wasn't necessarily great, but generally speaking, he's been giving you good starts the last 3 or 4 times through. Adding more quality arms this time of year is never a bad thing,
Yeah, give me as many quality arms as possible, right? So I know that Glasnow is going to be he's going to be throwing for the first time tomorrow, so that's a positive sign for him because Doc Roberts decided to say that it's going slow and then it becomes better and then it goes out there and it's better and then like you said yesterday, we'll see you in like March.
Right. That's exactly what it feels like, right? Whenever Dave Roberts is like, yeah, this is encouraging, it's like, oh well, here we go.
Yeah, it's the opposite of what's actually going on. Okay, so we do got to talk a little bit about Shohei Ohtani. Obviously, Decoy throwing out the first pitch was one of the cutest things I've ever seen.
It was amazing, right? It was so much fun. Yeah, because I saw, I saw the tweet first. I didn't see it when it actually happened, but I saw the tweet, like Decoy throws out the first pitch, and I'm like, well, how exactly is this going to work? And then, you see how it goes. I'm like, okay, that was actually kind of awesome. And then to cap it off, dog dad Shohei gets up there and hits a home run in the first inning. Like it was Shohei and Decoy day all the way around, from the bobblehead to the first pitch to the home run. It was a pretty good way to start the day, no doubt.
Yeah. No, it totally was. And so he hits the home run and he also has 2 stolen bases. So now he's at 42-42. And there's only one other player in baseball history that has ever gone 42-42. And that's Alex Rodriguez in 1998. He had 42 home runs and 46 stolen bases. So if he gets one more of each, he's the very first 43-43 player. It's pretty incredible. I don't know how many times we can talk about him, really, because it's just ridiculous. He's so good in every sense of the word.
I mean, it's insane. You know, I saw a screenshot of him hitting the home run, and it's just like he's off balance, right? He's on his front foot, and he's just sort of reaching for it, and somehow hits the ball 400 feet. Like it's not supposed to be possible. Like you're not supposed to be able to do that, but he does that regularly. It really is insane what he's able to do. It's so fun to have it on our side, right, as opposed to having him somewhere else. But it's really fun to watch. And I think the thing I like the most, though, I mean, the home runs are great. Obviously, the stolen bases are great. He's starting to mix in singles, doubles again. For a while, we were at a point where it was home run, strikeout, walk. He started to do some other things as well. So, you know, I think that helps the average overall. It also just continues to keep the line moving. It gives Mookie and Teo and other guys, opportunities with men on base, which I think is something you like. Since I've mentioned this, do we have to talk about Freddie missing a second day in a row?
Oh, you want to go backwards? Yeah. Okay. Yes, I do. Yeah, of course we do. But that's now 2 games. He also had a day off on Monday. He had only had 3 hits out of, I think, 23 at bats since he fractured his finger. And it doesn't look. If he's not in the lineup today, how are you feeling?
Concerned. The
Yeah.
concern-o-meter goes up significantly if he's not in the lineup today. Because at first it just seemed like, okay, well, it's a rest day. We're just going to let him heal up. Then 2 days in a row, Kike's at first base. If it's a third day in a row, then I think we officially have a problem. Obviously the Dodgers, I can tell you right now, the report's going to be he's fine. He just needs a couple of days of rest. We're expecting him back soon, but 3 days in a row is going to raise a lot of red flags.
It is, and it kind of goes with the fact that Daniel Hudson has not pitched in 9 days, and it just seems like they don't want to put people on IL stints, so it's not like a phantom IL stint. They're just not playing them. They're keeping them on the roster and just not playing them. So look, overall, I'd rather Freddie get as much health as possible, get as healthy as possible, and just miss. If he has to miss games, sure. It just, as long as it's not something that happens further on down the line. If he's ready for the playoffs and by the middle of September, I'm happy. It just stinks to not have him right now because it's such a tight time. And like the guys that are coming in for him, look, Gavin Lux played had a decent game in the 3 spot. I don't know if he actually got a hit, but there was no.
I think he got a hit. He didn't have a hit last night. No,
he didn't. But he played good defense. So you got one or the other. Give me something. And Teoscar just was fantastic again.
Yeah.
Again, Teoscar coming through when you need him again.
Why they haven't given him a contract extension, I don't know. I don't understand. Like I don't know what else he has to do at this point, right? I mean, he's obviously hitting. He's hitting in big spots. He's made some nice defensive plays out there in left field. Like I really don't understand what the holdup is. Look, and look, maybe it's both sides, right? Like maybe everybody's just thinking we're going to get through the season and then we'll figure it out then. But I mean, if you're the Dodgers, I don't even want this to get anywhere near free agency. Like I don't want it to get to that point where there's even a conversation about it. Like let's just lock him up now because he has more than earned a chance to be on this team long term.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's been my favorite Dodgers since the beginning of the year. He's just been solid all the way through, and it's really there's been little dips here and there, but really it's been the same. He's the most exciting player in the clubhouse. He's throwing the sunflower seeds. He's hitting big home runs. He's just been. If he keeps it up, and this is the dude you get in the playoffs, he has to get a multi-year deal, and you don't even care. Just like you have all the money. Just go out and
right.
do it.
I mean, it'd be great too because then, like, if they are decided that Mookie Betts is going back to right field, if that's the long-term plan, then you have 2 of your corner outfield spots already locked up. Depending on what you do, I mean, like Gavin Lux has certainly earned his spot on this team. If they decide they're going to go with Miguel Rojas, I don't know. I know he's an older guy, but you just have so much of this roster already sort of filled up and locked up already. Just go and get. Just do it already. Just sign Teo, please.
Yeah, just do it, please. But yeah, to your point, like if you sign Rojas, you can, I guess, but now that Tommy Edmonds here and you have him under contract for next year and he can play center and short, I mean, you can maybe make him I know Mookie does want to go back down to the infield, so that could be where he goes back to shortstop and Edmond is your center fielder. Like there's so many different things to play out, but either way, Teo in left field should be your staple. You should have Teo. That should be nonstop. Those are your top 4 that you can have for another at least 3-4 years. It needs to be done. I absolutely would want it. Bullpen. Great again.
Yeah.
Very, very happy with the bullpen once again. They held down a really, really strong lineup. I think if you want to do the whole trust tree thing, you know that now that Anthony Banda is probably very high up on that trust tree.
For sure. Yeah, no,
So
he's definitely climbing the branches of the trust tree with what he's done. I mean, like, you know, and it really hasn't mattered. He's coming out of the bullpen in the middle of an inning. He's done great at shutting it down. You give him a clean inning, he tends to get through with very little trouble. So you're starting to feel better about him. I mean, you got a good night out of Evan Phillips as well with a couple of strikeouts. He gets you through the 8th and then hands it to Kopech in the 9th. Look, we keep talking about roles, right? And this feels sort of like a good rotation, a good lineup, right? Where you go from Banda to you have Brazier who gets you 2/3 of an inning. Vesia, then gives it to Phillips, then to Kopech. Like, at some point, obviously, you're going to try to work in Hudson when he's ready, Trinan, those guys. But this sort of feels like a good line of succession with Kopech coming in, throwing 99, 100 miles an hour out of the bullpen to close it out. Like, this just feels right, which means it's not going to happen long term.
No, it's not. Kopech's going to pitch 3 games in a row, and he'll pitch in the 6th inning today because that's the way that Doc does things. But we're very much in sync here. I think it's been that way for a while. Michael Kopech is your closer, and he proved it again last night that that's the dude you want up in the 9th inning when you need to close out a game. There's nobody else that I feel like can do it as consistently as him because he has been absolutely fantastic.
No, he's been great. And like feel comfortable with him in there, right? He comes in, he's throwing hard, he's getting swings and misses. He got a weak pop-up basically to end the game last night. Yep. It feels good. And look, it's good to see Evan Phillips come out and have a clean inning the way he did last night too. It just, again, this feels like the way the bullpen should work the rest of the season into the playoffs. And I just think right now, if you're Dave Roberts, it just makes sense to start getting guys comfortable in these roles so that there's no confusion when we get to October. Obviously, look, I get it. If Kopech's thrown a couple days in a row, you're going to shuffle it up, right? Maybe you put Phillips or somebody else in that 9th inning. But I think all things being equal, this just feels like a good way to handle this the rest of the year.
Absolutely. And to talk about Evan Phillips for a minute, he's very, very high on my trust tree. I trust him. So just so that we are all pretty much since July 27th against Houston, when he gave up 4 hits and 2 runs and got nobody out, he's given up 1 earned run. He did have an unearned run against Pittsburgh on August 11th. Besides that, 1 earned run since July 27th. So he's been really good. He's starting to get his stuff back. He's striking guys out. He at least strikes out 1 guy per inning that he's in there. I trust him. I think that he just had a situation that we've talked about a bunch of times that you moved him out of. He was the closer. He was pitching well. He got hurt. He came back, and then you put him in the 6th inning randomly, and he starts changing his role and how he's throwing differently, and it messed with him. And he started giving up runs. Now that he knows his role again, and that he's going to be either the 9th or 8th inning fireman type guy, he's pitching well again. I think Evan Phillips is a huge, huge part of this bullpen, and he's going to be huge moving forward.
100%. And I think it goes back to that thing about closers in non-save situations. I mean, we have seen it throughout the years with different pitchers, right? I mean, look at all those years with Kenley Jansen. I mean, for as much of a roller coaster as he could be, in a save situation, you knew that you were going to get a much better Kenley than if you brought Kenley in just to get him some work with like a 5-run lead. Those might have been more scary. They might have been scarier opportunities than when he showed up with a 1-run lead, because he just didn't feel like he had the same sort of energy. And you just wonder whether or not Evan Phillips was sort of that same way. Like, yeah, he had his struggles. Then all of a sudden you're moving him all around. I just think the mentality is so different that I feel like that had an impact on what he did on the mound.
Yeah, no, it absolutely has. And that's what they do all the time. It's very frustrating. That's also why I hated the fact that Kopech pitched on Tuesday. They were down 3-2, and he pitched the top of the 9th to keep it close to that keep that 3-2 game close. But now if you get into a closed situation tonight with Bobby Miller, you don't have Kopech. He's off, like he's going to be down because he pitched 2 games in a row. I don't understand the reasoning for doing those things when you could possibly use them somewhere else. You're losing that game. There's no reason. Maybe you can come back and win it, but you could use somebody else there. You could have used Phillips. You could have used Hudson. You could have used Trine. You could have used Vezia there. You could have used other people, Brazier. It doesn't matter. But you don't use your closer in a non-save situation. It never makes sense to me. That's all I can tell. It's so odd.
Yeah, I'm wondering now, like, if it comes down to it, right, and there is a safe situation, who do they go with? Do they try to use Phillips for a second day in a row? Do we see Daniel Hudson sort of come back again? I mean, like, where do they go? Because at this point, you're not going to use Kopech a third day in a row.
No. So, and everybody's up there, so someone will get used. It's just disappointing that I don't know why they don't think moving forward. It's just a very strange thing. And then you're going to need them against the Diamondbacks too. But I see this in the chat. It's about Will Smith. And obviously Will Smith has not been hitting mode. Roy Estrada is saying, is Will Smith contract the new CT3 contract? Now have to figure out how to eat that contract. I think that's a little bit overboard personally. Yeah. Yes, catcher is a very tough position to stay hot all season long. But I'm actually seeing a lot of good signs from Will Smith. I know the hits aren't falling, but he's now starting to barrel up balls that he was not barreling before. He's hitting the ball much, much harder. He's just missing home runs. He's just missing doubles. I think the hits were going to start coming, and they're going to start coming soon. At least that's what I'm seeing out of him.
Yeah, no, I agree. He's working counts. He's generally getting good pitches to hit. It's just not coming around. And I think, to your point, this is part of the wear and tear of being a catcher, especially one who plays pretty much every day. So you are handling the pitching staff. You still have to try to figure out how to generate some offense. For the most part, he had that lapse last night on the swing.
I don't know what that was.
Yeah, I don't really know what happened there, but generally he's been pretty good defensively. He's been really good at throwing out runners this year. So Great. Even when the bat hasn't been there, the defense, again, last night aside, has been there for Will Smith. And I think, when the rest of the lineup is hitting, that's still very valuable to this team.
Yeah, and throwing the runners out portion of that is huge.
Yeah,
he's tied for first in all of Major League Baseball. That stops so much. It makes it such a big deal because that was something that people just ran rampant on the Dodgers for years because Will Smith couldn't throw anybody out, and neither could Austin Barnes. He doesn't have the arm for it for the most part. That was a thing that was a problem. Now Will Smith is going to be out of the lineup tonight for Bobby Miller. It's supposed to be either Austin Barnes if he's ready or Hunter Fiducia. So he's gonna get an off day here. So maybe that'll help with whatever's going through his head about hits not falling. But tonight is another portion. Now you got Bobby Miller on the mound, and you have that chance again to win the series against a really, really good team. And so instead of, it very well could have been, if they could have won yesterday, the night before, you could have been looking at a very series win, and you're looking at a strong start to the 7-game series that means so much with the Orioles and Diamondbacks.
Yeah, we said it yesterday, right? That it was a frustrating loss for a number of reasons, and that was certainly one of them. But still, a chance to get the series win. At least best case scenario, you keep pace, right? Or I guess worst case scenario, you keep pace. If you get a win tonight, worst case scenario, you're still 3 games up on the Diamondbacks. Again, thanks for nothing last night, Mets.
God.
but I mean, really, if you are the Dodgers, the motto is simple: just keep winning, right? As long as you take care of yourself, everything else is going to be fine because of where they are. They don't have to, it's nice to get help from other places, but as long as they keep winning games, then it's not really going to matter in the long run.
No, absolutely. But by the way, I just noticed our bottom third there at the bottom. It says Wild NL West. Pepe Mantilla. This is what he said yesterday on Mason Island. He said, it's better if the Dodgers end in first place. That is a strong take.
You know what?
By Pepe Mantilla there.
Point to the
really,
lie.
really
Point to the lie. Okay.
there is no lie. He was factually correct.
Yes.
So great job by Pepe Mantilla. So I love the fact that they actually did make the lower third and put it on there. I love that so much. Thank you for popping it up there, Graham, too. That was amazing. All right, we got to get out of here. I will not be on tomorrow. Hopefully Jeff Spiegel or somebody else will be here with you, Marcus. But tomorrow I'm going to be down at Terranea playing golf with John Ireland. And then it's my birthday weekend, so I need a little bit of time. You know what I'm saying? But have a great time tomorrow. Back here, 9:30, 9:55. Marcus Grant and maybe Parker Bell. We'll see.
We'll see.
See you next time. Thanks, LAX.